Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Sabah and I am super excited today. You all have been asking me so many questions about nutrition and diet. So I wanted to get an expert on the channel to talk about diet plans. I have with me today Khushbu Thadani, who is a nutritionist and a life coach. And she also has her own wellness consulting business called KV. I'm so excited to have Khushbu here today. Welcome, Khushbu.
Thank you. I'm so honored and excited to be here.
We would love to hear from you how we can use good nutrition and healthy food choices to lose weight along with workouts.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Our first question has been, what is a good diet plan to lose weight along with workouts? Especially my workouts are a lot to do with dance workouts, which are cardio as well as toning. So we'd really like to learn about how we can use good food choices in our daily life, especially with how busy our lives can be.
When it comes to fat loss, diet contributes to 70% of your results. And a lot of times people think that you can just, as long as you're working out intensely, you're going to see results, which you might see results. But I always feel like if you're putting in the effort in your workouts, you owe it to yourself to see the full benefit. And that can only come when you're eating a well-balanced diet. So first and foremost, when it comes to losing weight, you need to make sure that you're eating at a caloric deficit. And so what that means is essentially you're eating less calories than your body is burning off. And right now we're living in a time where we're constantly inundated with different diet approaches. So it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and confused. So should I be doing keto or should I be doing intermittent fasting? But at the end of the day, you want to do a diet that you can stay consistent with and that is sustainable. And so what I really advocate, especially if you are somebody who's working out regularly, making sure you're eating a diet that's well balanced with lean protein, complex carbohydrates, a bit of healthy fats, because that's more from the hormonal standpoint, and a lot of fiber in the form of vegetables and a bit of fruit.
So could you elaborate a little bit more about what are the kind of lean proteins? What does complex carbohydrates mean compared to simple carbohydrates?
Yes, I can. And the reason why I'm saying that we have to have a bit of everything is, a lot of times we just zoom into specific macros. For example, I should just eat protein and I'll be fine. As long as I cut out fat, I'll lose weight. But think about it. If you're running a business can't just run successfully if it only has a finance team, right? It needs to have communications teams, a marketing team, a finance team, an accounting team. And all of these together create so much synergy within the business. And then the business is able to run at its best. And similarly is that, yes, your body does need protein. It doesn't, it won't work too well if you give it overload of carbohydrates, overload of fat, but finding the right balance. And so going back to your question, what is the difference between refined carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates? The biggest difference is that complex carbohydrates take longer to break down because of their fiber content. And fiber, whether it's from a heart, to keep your heart healthy, to keep your bowel movements and digestion regular, it has so many benefits. And so that therefore choosing whole grains. So instead of having, let's say, just a piece of white toast, just switch it to whole meal toast. It's such a tiny switch, but goes such a long way in terms of even managing your blood sugar level. That essentially will help optimize the hormones in your body so that you're able to lose weight faster.
Give us a glimpse or an example of what would make a good meal, a balanced meal in a good diet plan. What would that meal look like? Especially in the Indian context, because a lot of our viewers are from India or eat a lot of Indian food. What would that look like?
And that's the thing. We have this misconception that eating Indian food is harder to lose weight on. But whether it's Indian food, Chinese food, continental, again, the same rules apply, making sure that A, you're eating at a caloric deficit, and B, that you're balancing out your plate, lean protein, complex carbohydrates, and fat. And so a really good rule of thumb that your viewers can keep in mind is make sure half your plate is made up of vegetables, a quarter is lean protein, which I'll share some examples, and the other quarter is complex carbohydrates, and moderate amounts of fat, which we anyways tend to use in cooking. So whether you're cooking with oil or ghee. So for example, if you're an Indian vegetarian, an ideal meal would be something as simple as dal with brown rice and some spinach on the side. And the reason why this is such a great meal is because a lot of vegetarian sources of protein are incomplete. And I don't know if you're familiar with what an incomplete protein is. It doesn't have all 9 essential amino acids. But the beauty is that if you combine a whole grain and a legume, you actually form a complete protein. And so that's why having the combination of, let's say, dal and brown rice is incredibly superior as a vegetarian.
Oh, wow. So I think I eat healthy, but even I did not know that. So thank you for sharing that, actually.
It's so funny, these little nuggets, they go such a long way, right? One thing I noticed with my clients is, but I like to eat rice, I like to eat roti. That's totally fine. But you got to realize, what am I combining these foods with? So for example, rather than just say, I'm going to have a roti, have a have a jowar roti or millet roti, and combine it with chana, because again, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the complete protein, and it's actually going to help you stay fuller for longer and more satisfied so that you don't binge later on. Even something as simple as, let's say, a pulao, right? A really good meal would be like a pulao with using rice. You don't have to just make it like cauliflower rice, but what you can do is bulk it out with vegetables so that you naturally end up eating less rice because it's filled with the good stuff as well, the micronutrients, vitamins, nutrients, and add like a serving of raita. And again, that's super high in protein, but also you're getting a good stream of complex carbohydrates, which if you are working out regularly, your glycogen stores will naturally get restored. And then I would say something like what I also tend to recommend to my clients is using besan, or now in the West, chickpea flour. So instead of using, for example, just using wheat atta in your rotis, try using besan as well, because therefore you're also getting the added protein benefits in your diet.
Oh, that's amazing! Actually, I love besan. By the way, it's
same.
I love it.
It's delicious. It's versatile, and it cooks very quickly.
That's great. It's good to know you could use besan outside of just pakoras.
And another great meal that you could have is even like for breakfast, if you're having like a dalia, add in a serving of vegetables. Having upma, just add in you could just do a little, rather than having lots of coconut chutney, use a tomato or coriander or mint chutney instead, because that way you're cutting the fat and therefore the calorie content of your overall meal.
Something that we get a lot is people who are vegetarians. They say, oh, you keep talking about adding protein to your diet, but I'm a vegetarian. How do I add more protein? You mentioned a little bit about legumes, and you've been actually talking a lot about vegetarian food here. So, but could you talk a little bit more on this?
Of course. So another great source would be tofu. And what you can do is it subs really well for paneer. So for example, if you're making like a palak paneer, replace it by either using low-fat paneer, because that will help with the calorie content of your overall meal, or just replace it with tofu. And if you're somebody who's thinking in your head right now, I hate tofu, here's the thing. We create aversions based on how we consumed it at one point. So maybe you didn't like it when it was like a silken tofu, but sometimes the different texture, so if you choose a firm-based tofu or how we prepare it, makes all the difference. So if you're thinking, I hate tofu, give it another shot and different preparation method. And low-fat dairy is another great source. So if you enjoy yogurt, go for a low-fat Greek yogurt instead, because it's a much more superior source of protein. And then also like veggie granules. So for example, how you get in India, it's like Nutrella. The soy-based keema and the soy-based chunks. Those are, again, I would say have that in moderation because it is processed soy, but once or twice a week, it's another great source of protein.
Oh, that's amazing. And for non-vegetarians, I think it's a little bit more easy to find proteins through meat. But do you have any advice for our non-vegetarian viewers?
Of course I do. So I would say if you are non-vegetarian, obviously eggs are an excellent source of protein, and they're very versatile. So that could be used as a breakfast, lunch, dinner, or snack option. If you're having chicken, I would say go for the breast cut instead of the leg meat. I know the leg meat is softer, but from a fat loss perspective, chicken breast serves much better. And of course, if you enjoy white fish, there's nothing quite like it. There's a lot of heart healthy benefits, but it's also very lean and low in calories. Yeah?
Well, Khushbu, thank you so much for answering our questions. I have learned so much from you today.
So it was such a joy chatting to you. Thank you for having me on.
So I wanted to tell our viewers where to find you. So I know you have a podcast. It's called The Fit and Fulfilled. All right, so tell us, where else can we find you online?
Yes. So I hang out a lot on Instagram, so you guys can come find me there, but it's at khushbu.kway. And then otherwise, you can also come visit me on my website.
Yeah, everything will be in the description, you guys. Yeah. So please do check it out. Follow us on Instagram so you know when we're going to come live. And again, thank you so much. I hope everyone, you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe, like, share.